Hi kids, I am Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains in Dragon House Studios, and as always brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Today we're going to talk about this guy. It is a gun that is all over the news. You've all read about it in this last week, but I'm willing to bet that most of you have never seen one in the wild, much less handled one or fired one. This is a blank firing firearm designed specifically for movie sets. Obviously, it's based on a single action army, and let me give you the specs real quick. It's made by Kimar in Italy, K-I-M-A-R, which is a company owned by Chiappa, who makes some of the finest replica firearms in the world. This specific gun is designed from the ground up to fire blanks. It operates just like a single action army. It even has a really pretty good trigger pull on it. But here's where things change. Let's see, let's take out the cylinder pin, drop out the cylinder, and what you see now is, let's look into this barrel. You see this wedge here? Basically, this barrel is blocked for 1.5 inches. It's got 1.5 inches of steel in it blocking the barrel. And it culminates where the forcing cone would normally be. Well, you can see a wedge there. What's the wedge for? Well, let's look at the cylinder first. Once again, take a look at the cylinder. It's pretty much a replica cylinder for a single action army. Feels the same, weighs the same. The big difference is inside this cylinder, there's a steel plate that pretty much takes up 3/4 of the space of the cylinder. So what happens when this gun is fired with blanks is load the blank into the cylinder, and this gun is set up for 380 blanks. It's pretty common in Europe. Basically, it's a 380 cartridge. You can get 2 flavors of it. Flavor number 1 is just a primer in it. Flavor number 2 is what they call a full power blank. That is, there's a very small charge of smokeless powder in it. When the cartridge is fired, obviously, there's a steel plate in front of the cylinder. The gases go through this little hole, this little top here, and then they hit the wedge of the barrel right here, this wedge. And so the exhaust gases are vented to the side, like this. So with this particular type of blank firing gun, none of the gases blow forward. In every other respect, it's the same as a replica Italian single action army. The weight is almost exactly the same. The trigger pull, obviously, you saw here. The disassembly is the same. There's another point on this gun that is really pretty interesting to me. This cast metal frame, it's not a forged steel frame. It's not a cast aluminum frame or some miracle metal. Instead, it's what we might have called in the past pot metal, which is, it's a mixture of zinc, I believe I have this correct, it's a mixture, an alloy of zinc, aluminum, magnesium, and copper. It has the right weight, it has the right feel, but let's say you're a gangster in London and you want a gun really quickly, and you take this gun, this blank firing gun, you drill the barrel out. Once you get the barrel all drilled out, then you go drill out the cylinder, and then you put a round in it and you pull a trigger. Well, this frame won't hold up. At the very least, the frame itself is going to crack. At the very worst, it's going to turn itself into a grenade. So one of the reasons the guns are made with this type metal is to keep it from being converted to a real gun. We're going to talk a little bit more about this when we come back. Welcome back to Triggered, where we're talking about this blank firing gun. An interesting thing about blank firing guns in general, and if you go on the internet and search blank firing guns, you can find pretty much a blank firing gun for every firearm ever made by man on the planet. Trust me, there's zillions and zillions of them. Interestingly enough, blank firing guns can exhaust the gas out the side, as we were talking about here. The gas from the 380 blank is diverted by this axe head that sits in the place of the forcing cone. Or if you need to film something where you have flame, sparkles, magnesium, whatever coming out the front, you can get blanks that are front firing blanks. You can also, in some European countries where guns are pretty much banned, if you want to do a movie there or you're working on a video there or something, you can get blanks that are drilled to vent out the top. So the gases have a place to go and the barrel itself is completely solid. Now you're probably asking yourself, did this come complete with a baby blue nose? As a matter of fact, it didn't. We bought this gun years and years ago to use in episodes of our Cowboys TV series. When we were no longer using this as a blank gun, I painted the nose blue. Blue says it's a drone, it's a dummy gun. So I can look at the guns, I can see it lined up next to single actions. I know this is a dummy gun. Now, here's the trick question. This is a trick question. This gun is lying on the table, just like that. I pick it up, I cock it, I fire it, right? Because I know it's a drone. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Nothing about the 4 rules has changed here. Nothing. This gun is lying on a table. I pick it up. I go, oh, it's a single action. Open the loading gate, go to half cock, go clickety, 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 clickety. And then I can cock it and pull the trigger. What else do I need to not do? I need to not point it at anything I'm not willing to kill or destroy. What else? Keep my finger off the trigger until I'm ready for it to go bang. What else? Even with a blank gun, be sure of your target and what's beyond it. When we have used blank guns on the set, those guns are usually being fired into bulletproof, bullet-resistant plexiglass. And let's say I was going to shoot you, the camera, right there. Would I point this gun directly at you? No. We would have the plexiglass, but I would take the gun a couple of degrees off to the side. Why? Because I like cameras. They're really expensive and you don't want to keep replacing them. Secondly, that way you don't shoot the camera operator. Because as we have seen tragically in the last week, accidents do happen. Now, blank firing guns aren't the only kind of guns found on movie sets. I've been on movie sets, I've been on television series sets. I have produced in the last 20 years 600 plus half-hour television episodes, of which 90% of them involved live guns. So on the set of a movie or on the set of a TV show, you may well see a gun that looks just like this, except it's cast in plastic. You may also see a gun just like this, except it's cast in rubber. Why would you need rubber, not just hard plastic? Well, if the hero does a perfectly executed spinning back kick with his bare foot to knock the gun out of your hand, you don't want to break his foot. So what he hits is a rubber gun. You also see guns on the set that we've talked about before, felony guns. That's a euphemism that's used by armorers. You'll never hear it in public, but that is guns that look exactly like guns, but instead of a mechanical trigger on the inside, what you have is an electrical switch. And when you pull the trigger, the electrical switch fires small explosive cartridges, little pellets of explosives that are set in the nose of the gun. Sometimes, in fact, if you see an AR and it's got some kind of really weird, funny protuberance on the barrel that's not a suppressor, that's because it's carrying explosive charges. I have, again, working with an armor, held an 8.5 by 11 white sheet of paper on my chest, had the armor step 1 foot away from me and fire 8 shots from what I would have sworn was a really live 1911. The charges are so good, I did not even have powder residue on my shirt. So there's those kind of guns, and sometimes there's live guns on the set that they use to shoot blanks. However, the guns are the property under the complete control of the armorer. The armorer loads the gun, hands the, in fact, generally what I've seen on the set, and this will run a little long, but typically the actor will have a plastic gun, a rubber gun, something that is not real, a solid block of something. At the point that the actor is ready to shoot the bad guy, the director calls a cut. The armorer comes over with an empty gun, be it a felony gun, be it a blank gun, fill in the blank. But the armorer shows the actor that the gun is empty. The armorer then loads the gun after showing the actor what type of cartridge, what you're doing with the gun, and then places the gun in the actor's hand. The director calls action, bang, cut. The armorer comes over, takes the gun out of the actor's hands, opens it up, clears it, shows the gun clear to the actor, oftentimes shows the gun clear to the director, hands it off to an assistant armorer to get it off the set. The purpose is to minimize the amount of time that an actor has their hands on something that goes bang. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk about some products that work.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Volquartz and Firearms. Excellence is essential. Taurus USA. Prepare and protect. Rock Island Armory Arms Corps. Home of the STK 100.
Welcome back to Triggered. And before we get out of here today, I wanted to touch on some products that you've seen before, but these are products that I'm using on an ongoing basis. They actually fill the niches they were designed to fill, and in some cases, I can't imagine being without them. The first are these binoculars from Maven Optics. And these are their B3 small portable. They're 8 by 30. You can also get like 10 by 30, 6 by 30. The glass in these things is absolutely amazing. We talked about it last week on the podcast. I've got binoculars, and I've got good binoculars, but I asked for a set of these after the expo, the Comp Expo in Grand Junction. They sent them. I started using them, and I went back to my old binoculars, and I'm looking at them and go like, wow, the optical quality of these binoculars is absolutely outstanding. The other thing I like about them is, for say you're hunting with a guide, you know, you're not hunting out west, or maybe you're hunting in the south, you're not going to have super long shots. They're light. They'll carry all day long. Their MSRP is $500. So think about that. These are an excellent set of binoculars. I will be buying them, and they will become my go-to binocs. Second products that I really, really like and have been using a lot are Streamlights. You know, Streamlight is a sponsor for Shooting Gallery for years. They don't sponsor the website, but I've always been a fan of their products. And this guy you've seen before is the Streamlight Wedge, not wedgie, mind you, but wedge. And it is basically a light design for everyday carry. Obviously, it's flat. You got this switch, this toggle switch on it. And if you flip it to on, you get 300 lumens of light, and it'll run, I don't know, I think they said 40 hours or something like that on the lowest setting. But if you need more light, just push the toggle switch forward, and you got 1,000 lumens. This light is a workhorse. You'd be surprised at how much I use this light. You'd also be surprised at how many times at night you're looking for something, you got the light on, you just can't quite see it, and you go bing, and you get the very bright light, and you can find it. I mean, this is a great product. It carries super easy. It's like 3 ounces, 3.3 ounces, something like that. But it is a workhorse of a light. I don't know what I'd do without it. Second piece of Streamlight, oh, by the way, rechargeable. Plug it in to USB card. Second Streamlight light that I really like a lot is this little guy. This miniature military light. This is on a swivel, obviously. It is a whole, I think, 55 lumens, something like that, which isn't very much, except for the fact that I have found myself using this light day in, day out. This is one of the lights that sits by my bed at night, because it's really easy to turn this light. It's got a low and a high setting. You usually just turn it on. Can sit it down, I can lay it down, I can rotate it around, I can point it where I want. It's an inexpensive light, runs on a couple of AA batteries. Also, if you want, it's got a red filter, so you're not going to blow your night vision out. All in all, this is a surprisingly useful, inexpensive light. Everybody should have one. So that's it for this week. I hope you have a little bit of better understanding of blank firing pistols, prop guns, things that you might find on a movie or television set. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered. You can always find us on michaelbain.tv, our super site on the internet, or YouTube, or Rumble. And of course, if you go to YouTube or Rumble, by all means subscribe and tell your friends. We'll see you next week.